Hello and welcome to the off-road driving walk-around video for my 1997 Lexus LX450 that is triple locked from the factory. This vehicle is going up on Cars and Bids in a few days, and it would be fantastic if you would check it out because obviously if you are interested in an off-road vehicle, this is one of the best of all time. One thing that I have upgraded, and I don't know why Toyota ever took it away, was the center diff lock switch, which allows me to have the center diff locked while still in high range. The wiring was still there behind the dash, so I just moved the little security panel down and put the center diff lock switch in. And I don't know why Toyota ever took it out, but it is super nice to have. And now that we're getting a little bit more vertical, let's take the strain off the drivetrain by shifting it into neutral. And then we'll pop it down into low range. Bam. Back into drive. Now, there's a forum post about defeating this switch altogether and making it so that if you are in low range, you can actually choose to have the center diff lock unlocked, which I have not done because obviously right now I will unflip the switch and you can see that my center diff lock is still locked. They call it the 7-pin bypass or something like that. And people have made the argument that it's nice to have the ability to keep your center diff unlocked even in low range, but I didn't go that route. So here we go, low range. Let's go up these rocks. So you'll notice that I'm trying to keep the biggest rocks under the driver's side as much as possible, because both the front and rear solid axles of this truck have the differential carriers offset to the passenger side. Whereas in a Jeep, the rear differential carrier would be centered in the axle. So I basically know that as long as I am putting the biggest rocks under the driver's side, then I am going to clear those rocks and I am not going to hit my diff. Now, this vehicle does not have any suspension lift. I only have gotten BF Goodrich TAKO2s in the stock tire size, which is about 31 inches, so not even that big. And without a suspension lift, you could probably put 33s under this truck, no problem. But then you would definitely need a suspension lift for 35s and 37s, which a lot of people obviously do very successfully. Plus, the axles are so heavy duty from Toyota, from the factory, that you can support 37-inch tires without having to worry about blowing up your Burfield joints that are housed inside of the steering knuckles bathed in CV moly grease. So these are super heavy duty axles right from the factory. And then especially since I've got the locking differentials, it's even better. Like, this truck has done some incredible off-roading for me. This is cake for this truck, honestly. So another little fun fact is that the little cubby that used to be here, I replaced it with the Toyota part cup holder. Now, it's obviously a 90s cup holder, so big gulps are not going to fit in there, but a Starbucks thin coffee cup or a thin coffee mug fits, and it actually stays pretty tight because of that little felt piece that holds things pretty darn tightly, which I find to be a nice little advantage to not lose my coffee while I'm off-roading. So big rock, we'll keep it in the center. Bam, didn't even hit the undercarriage, the axles, or anything. Whereas if I had, driven that rock right down the center of the vehicle, it might have hit on the rear differential carrier if I had been in a Jeep. But I knew that I was gonna miss it because my rear differential carrier is offset. So we're actually in some pretty light duty off-roading. So I'm actually going to, on the fly, shift into neutral and back into high and back into drive. And now we can do a little bit more speed, which this truck can obviously handle beautifully. We're not climbing anything crazy, so we don't need those low range gears. And I have actually never been on this trail, but it's a pretty fun one. We are in the shadow of Mount Charleston here in Las Vegas. Just got off of Kyle Canyon Road. Even though we've got a little bit of washboarding going on, because these seats are very well cushioned and bolstered, I am comfortable, I am held in place. It's a very comfortable off-road ride, which is obviously the whole reason why people buy these trucks, for their capabilities, comfort, reliability. I know this truck is not going to let me down, ever. Now, I wish I had a even tougher section of off-roading to show you the locking differentials, but as of right now, this is basically a fire road. Ooh, let's go down this. Ooh, even better. Let's turn around right here. We'll actually go back the way we came, because I think that hill climb will actually be pretty decent. Not necessarily, it won't be necessary to lock up the diffs, but I can at the very least lock them up to demonstrate. So I also haven't aired down from road pressures. Obviously that's a super nice thing to do if you're doing like some extended off-roading. I'm literally just doing this trail quickly to make this video for the benefit of my prospective buyers. But if I was going to do a whole day of off-roading, I would have aired down to probably 25 pounds, maybe 20, maybe 22, somewhere in there, which would make the ride even more comfortable, because then I would be adding in softer, squishier tires that would go over these rocks more smoothly and over these washboards more smoothly, and give me a little bit more traction. But truthfully, these tires are so good, they give me so much traction as it is already, which is just incredible. Now, I went with the TAKO2s instead of the mud terrain variant of the TAKO2s. I can't remember the name of them. I think they're like the TAMTs or something along those lines. And those tires would give even better traction, and especially if you are going to be in a muddier, wetter area than the dry desert, it would potentially be a good investment for you to do that. But the TAKO2s are the perfect blend of on-road poise. They don't make a ton of road noise, which is excellent, whereas those mud terrains would have made a ton of road noise. My friend back east in Connecticut has a Land Rover LR4, and he's got mud terrain tires on it, and the road noise is insane. I can't even believe that he drives that truck as much as he does on the road, but obviously he has to get from his home to the off-road trails that he does, and then once he's at those off-road trails, he's very happy that he has those mud terrain tires, because he's obviously in Connecticut, which is a much wetter and muddier place. Plus he goes up to Massachusetts and Vermont and New Hampshire to do wetter, muddier trails. So let's go back the way we came, and once we get a little bit closer to the hill, we'll shift it back into low range, which honestly we probably don't even need low range because it's not that steep of a climb either. But go through these washes a little bit. Now the other cool thing about this switch is that I'm still in high range, but because my center diff lock is locked, that allows me to turn on the locking differentials. If I was in high range and I didn't have the center locking switch, I would not be able to actuate my locking diffs in high range. I would have to switch into low range to do it. So as a demonstration, I'll just quickly show you right here. I'm gonna hit the little switch, and then my diffs start blinking until the meshes engage. There we go. So the rear has locked in, and now I'll do the same to the front, and with a little bit of steering, now the front is locked. They both blink until the gears mesh and they engage, and same thing on the way out. So the front unmeshed already, and then the rear has not unmeshed yet, but that's probably because there's still tension on the gears. So let me shift it into neutral. We'll roll back a little bit, and there it goes. Now it's off. And as I mentioned, I didn't even go into low range for that little hill climb. So a great advantage to have that switch so that I could turn those diffs on while still in high range. Absolutely incredible truck. I love it and have really enjoyed it for the miles that I've owned it. I've definitely had some fun here in the desert, doing some crazy off-roading that didn't damage the truck because the truck is so capable that I barely bottomed out at all. A little bit of rubbing on the catalytic converters and the transfer case guard, but that's what they're there for. And the truck has never failed me. I've done some approach and breakover and departure angle elements that I was amazed that the truck could do. It has blown my mind, and I am so sad that I have to sell my beloved FZJ80. But COVID and the financial straits that it put me in means that I need to get rid of the vehicle, unfortunately. So I hope you've enjoyed the off-road driving experience video. If you do come to Vegas, by all means, check out Mount Charleston. It is great. There's plenty of trails in Red Rock, around Mount Charleston, and just in Vegas in general, where you can do some super fun desert off-roading and rock crawling. And check out my Cars and Bids auction that will be going live shortly. And thank you so much for watching the walk around videos, and happy bidding. Thank you so much.